Hi, my name is Eleanor, and what happened to me that night changed everything about my family forever asterisk. I still remember the sound of my phone vibrating on the kitchen table. It was late, the kind of late where the house feels hollow, where every noise sounds louder than it should. I almost ignored it, but something in my chest felt tight like a warning. It was a voicemail from my mom. Let it play. Her voice was cold, not angry, not sad, just done. She said, "Don't come back. It don't come back anymore." That was it. No explanation, no pause, no love, just silence. After I stared at the screen waiting for more, but there was nothing. That voicemail didn't just hurt, it erased me for a long moment. I couldn't breathe, my hands shook, my mind raced. What did I do? What did I miss? What happened while I wasn't there? I replayed it again and again. Every time it felt worse. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't frustration. This was rejection. I had always believed that no matter how bad things got, home was still home. That night I learned I was wrong. I packed slowly, not because I needed to, but because I didn't know where else to go. Every shirt felt heavier. Every memory felt sharp. I kept thinking she'll call back. She explained. She apologized. Denise slept on a couch that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence. And that's when I made the worst decision of my life. I decided to leave quietly. No drama, no goodbye. I told myself if she wants me gone, then I'll disappear. I had no idea that disappearing would destroy everything. Growing up, my family looked normal from the outside. Two parents, a small house, loud dinners. But inside, everything was measured. Love came with conditions. My mom was the center of everything. Her moods shaped the house. When she was happy, everyone breathed. When she wasn't, we all learned how to stay quiet. I was the oldest, which meant I was expected to understand, to adjust, to forgive. Even when it hurt, I told myself it was fine, that being strong was my role, until I left for work in another city. That changed everything suddenly. I wasn't around to fix things, to calm her down, to take the blame, and someone else stepped into my place. My aunt started visiting more, calling more, whispering things. Didn't notice at first. I trusted family. That was my mistake. Slowly, my calls went unanswered. My messages felt shorter, then colder. Then came the voicemail. Didn't come back. I didn't know then, but that message wasn't really from her. It was planted, fed, repeated until it sounded like truth. While I packed my bags, someone else was packing lies. I left town the next morning before sunrise. No one stopped me. Told myself this pain would fade. I was wrong, because that night at exactly 2:17 my phone exploded. Missed calls, messages, voicemails sent after another. From my mom, from relatives, from numbers I barely recognized. The same people who pushed me out now, they were begging. And I didn't understand why, yet I let it ring again and again. Part of me felt angry, another part felt scared. What changed? Why? Now finally I answered. My mom's voice exploded through the speakers, shaking, broken. "Where are you?" Not hello, not how are you, just panic. I told her where I was, my voice calm, too calm. She cried. Not quiet crying, not soft tears. She sounded terrified. "You have to come back," she said. "Please, you have to come back right now." I didn't understand. Just yesterday, she told me never to return. I reminded her. She went silent. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. I didn't mean it like that. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. I asked her what happened. She avoided the question. She kept repeating, "Just come back, we need you, need you." That word hit differently before I could ask more. She hung up. Then my aunt called. I didn't answer. Then my uncle. Then messages started coming in, short ones. "Call us, urgent, please respond." I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to make sense of it. Less than 24 hours ago, I was unwanted. Now suddenly I was essential. I listened to the voicemails one by one. They all sounded the same: fear, confusion, regret. But none of them explained why. That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed memories, conversations, moments where things fell off. My aunt whispering with my mom, phone calls that ended when I entered the room, questions about me that didn't make sense. I realized something painful. I had been talked about, judged, decided without me around. Dawn, a message came through from my younger sibling. It said, "I'm scared. They're fighting. They keep asking where you are." That message broke me. Whatever was happening, it wasn't small. I asked my sibling, "What did they find?" Another pause, then a whisper, "A letter and some papers. Your name is on everything." The world tilted everything. I asked, "What does Aunt know?" Another pause, then she knew before everyone else. That was the first crack. Lie I didn't even know existed was starting to fall apart. and somehow me leaving had triggered, I'd realized in my absence. Created a vacuum man's secrets, hate, empty space. I didn't rush home that morning instead. I did something I had never done before. I stayed away and watched the truth surface on its own eye. Didn't go back that day. Every part of me wanted to, but something inside whispered, wait. I found a cheap motel, the kind that smells like old carpet and regret. And I sat on the edge of the bed staring at the wall. My phone stayed quiet for almost an hour. Then it rang. My uncle. This time I answered. His voice sounded tired, older than I remembered. He didn't ask me to come back. He didn't raise his voice. Said, you need to know something before you hear it from someone else. That sentence told me everything. He explained slowly, carefully, like every word might. Exploded a few nights earlier. My mom and aunt were cleaning out an old cabinet one we were told was empty years ago. Behind a loose panel, they found an envelope, no stamp, no date, just a name written in my dad's handwriting. Mine inside was a letter and legal papers. My uncle paused, letting the weight sink in. The letter wasn't long, but it was clear. My dad knew something was coming. He wrote it. When he felt sick, when he felt watched, he said if anything happened to him, everything he owned, every account, every property was meant to go to me, not because I was his favorite, but because he trusted me to be fair. My throat closed. I had never known. No one told me. The papers were legal, signed, witness, valid, but that's not what destroyed the family. What destroyed it was the second letter, written weeks later, same handwriting, different tone. This one named my aunt as temporary controller of everything until I returned home. Words were careful but clear. He didn't trust anyone else, not even my mommy. Hands shook as my uncle spoke. He said my aunt had kept that letter secret for years. She slowly shifted control accounts, decision stories. She told my mom. I didn't care. I didn't want responsibility. I'd abandoned them. By the time the first letter was found, my mom believed I was selfish. That voicemail wasn't anger, it was manipulation. I hung up and sat in silence. Every memory suddenly made sense. Why my aunt always asked about my plans, why she encouraged me to move away, why she reminded everyone how busy I was. She didn't push me out, she positioned me away. And when the letter surfaced, her control cracked. The family panicked because the truth pointed at one person, and it wasn't me. That night, my mom sent me a message. Just one line. I didn't know. I'm so sorry I didn't reply. Not yet. He needed more. I needed to understand how deep it went. So I made a choice. I wasn't going home to fight. I was going home to listen, to let them talk, to let them expose themselves. Asterisk. I didn't rush anything after that night. That surprised everyone. They expected doors to slam, voices to rise, ultimatums. Instead, I stayed calm, I stayed present, and I watched my aunt became careful, too careful. She asked questions, small ones, about timelines, about paperwork. She smiled again, but now the smile shook fear. Changes people, it makes them reveal things. I let her talk. She started explaining herself without being asked how hard it was, how much pressure she carried, how no one else stepped up. Every sentence put her deeper in the corner. I never interrupted because the more she spoke, the more she confirmed. Behind the scenes, I did only 3 things. I met with a lawyer. I collected records. I stayed quiet. Revenge doesn't always look like attack. Sometimes it looks like patience. I learned my aunt had moved funds slowly, nothing illegal at first, just enough to make herself necessary. But then she crossed a line. One signature, one unauthorized decision. She assumed I would react emotionally. I didn't. Documented. When she realized I wasn't fighting, she panicked. She called relatives, trying to rebuild her image, but stories crack when truth stands still. I made one request: a family meeting, no accusations, just facts. I laid everything out, dates, documents, letters. No shouting, no blame, just silence. That silence was louder than anger. My aunt tried to speak, but no one listened because they finally saw it, not a villain, but a manipulator. The worst kind. When the meeting ended, I didn't announce consequences. I let them arrive naturally. Banks asked questions, accounts froze, decisions required signatures. She no longer had. She lost control, one system at a time, not destroyed, just shut down. That night, she knocked on my door. She didn't threaten, she didn't argue, she begged. She said she was scared, that she never meant for it to go this far. I told her the truth. You didn't mean to be exposed, not to stop. She left without another word. And that's when I understood justice doesn't need revenge to scream it, just needs truth to stand. The house felt different after that, not quiet, but empty, like The weight had shifted from the walls to the people inside, and for the first time in years, my mom and I were alone, really alone. No one translating, no one whispering, no one filling the space, just us. She sat at the kitchen table one morning, the same table where I once did homework, where she once brushed my hair before school. She looked smaller, older. She didn't look like someone in control. She looked like someone waking up. She said my name softly, not sharply, not with frustration. Just my name. I sat across from her. She stared at her hands for a long time, then said, I let someone else tell me who you were. That sentence broke something open, she admitted. She believed the worst, because it was easier than feeling abandoned. She said every time my aunt told her I didn't care, it matched her fear, so she accepted it. Fear wants confirmation, not truth. She told me the voicemail was said in anger, but guided by repetition, by weeks of quiet. Poison, she said. She didn't think I would really leave. I told her, I didn't think you would really push me away. We sat with that, no defense, no fixing, just pain. She asked me why. I didn't fight harder to stay, I said, because I thought love didn't need proof. She cried then, not loud, not dramatic, just tears falling quietly. She said, I failed you. I didn't say it was okay, because it wasn't. But I said we can choose what happens next that mattered. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about stopping the damage. She apologized fully, without excuses. That was new. She asked what I planned to do. Told her I planned to stay, but differently. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. She nodded. That night, she cooked dinner, something simple. She asked about my life, my work, my silence. And for the first time in a long time, she listened, not to respond, not to correct, but to understand. I realized then the real revenge wasn't what happened to my aunt. It was breaking the cycle. Truth doesn't explode all at once. It spreads quietly, unstoppable. After my aunt lost control of the accounts, questions started traveling through the family faster than I expected. Relatives who once stayed neutral now wanted clarity. They didn't call me first. They called my mom, and this time no one answered for her. She told them the truth without softening it, without protecting anyone. That alone changed everything. A family meeting was called, bigger than the last one, more people, more eyes. I didn't ask for it, but I didn't refuse. When I walked in the room, felt tense. My aunt was already there, sitting stiff, arms crossed. She didn't look angry anymore. She looked cornered. One by one, questions were asked, not accusations, just facts. Why accounts were moved? Why decisions were hidden? Why letters were kept secret? She tried to explain, but explanations collapse when the truth is simple. She said she was protecting the family. Someone asked from what she didn't answer. That's when I spoke, not to attack, but to... And Duddy said, this isn't about money, it's about trust. I explained the letters, the timing, the manipulation. I didn't dramatize. I didn't insult. I just spoke clearly, and clarity is dangerous because lies need confusion. When I finished, no one spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was final. My aunt stood up, said she needed air. No one followed. That was the moment she lost the family, not because of punishment, but because belief shifted. Later that night, messages came in, apologies, regrets, realizations. People admitted they believed stories because it was easier than asking questions. I didn't respond to all of them. Forgiveness isn't immediate. It's earned. My aunt left town 2 days later. No drama, no goodbyes. She didn't fight because there was nothing left to hold. My mom watched her leave from the window. She didn't celebrate. She didn't smile. She just whispered, I see it now. That was enough, because seeing is the first step. With the truth finally out, the only thing left was deciding what kind of family we would become. The voicemail that once broke me no longer defined me. Our family never became perfect, but it became honest, and honesty is stronger than peace built on silence. My mom and I rebuilt something new, not what we had before, something better, something chosen. She learned to ask questions, to trust her voice instead of borrowing someone else's. He learned that walking away isn't weakness when staying means losing yourself. The night she told me not to come back wasn't the end. It was the moment everything false started to fall. Revenge didn't come through shouting or destruction. It came through truth, patience, and refusal to play the same game. The people who tried to control the story lost power because stories can't survive light. And I learned the hardest lesson of all: love without boundaries invites manipulation, but love with boundaries creates safety. If you've ever been pushed out, misunderstood, or erased by someone you trust, to know this: Sometimes leaving is the only way for the truth to come out, and sometimes the silence you create speaks louder than any argument. That voicemail once told me, "Don't come back." What it really did was give me my life back.